What's going on, Raider Nation? I know this looks really ghetto and whatnot. I mean, I'm not even going to edit this thing, but Raiders win 23-20 in Denver, and now Sports Authority Field. My mistake, guys. I thought it was Invesco. My bad. But the Raiders win, and this was a good sign. I know the Broncos have low expectations this year. They get. I mean, honestly, I don't have any expectations for them. But a win is a win, and that's all that matters. Going through this game, it started off with a slow fumble. That was, pretty frustrating and annoying to see that. I think, Von Miller, props to him for forcing that fumble. I don't think Jacoby Ford could have done anything about it. Defense held their ground, though. Field goal. And then, a little bit later, a long, long drive. Eventually, we were able to get the touchdown that we needed. Penalties on both sides were self-destructing, and it's kind of a matter of who would get the worst penalty. But Broncos committed a share of penalties, and the Raiders were able to score a touchdown with Marcel Reese out in the flat. Good going by Jason Campbell there. There was also just some nice field goals that were down the stretch. They were driving down. It wasn't exactly pretty, but they were able to. They should have gotten in the end zone that one time. Janikowski kicked the 21-yarder. The Raiders did force that one fumble, though, to set up another field goal, which was good. They were able to, those two fumbles in enemy territory were just canceled each other out with field goals. So that was good to see. And then right before the half, you see basically Matt Giordano, one of our more no-name secondary guys, come up with a huge interception when we needed it. And it was pretty clutch, too. Both feet were in bounds and everything. The Broncos looked like they were going to make this game get from, I think could have been 13-6 possibly, but we drive down the field. McFadden given the screen. Some nice play calling by Hugh Jackson. It's good to see that. We were hiding our playbook in the preseason for a reason, and this is a big reason why it showed this game. McFadden went down. We're able to get to an area that's within range, and Janikowski kicks a record field goal, 63 yards. Ironically, Jason Elam did it in Mile High Stadium against Jacksonville years ago. But it was a great field goal. I know the altitude helps a bit, but Janikowski's got the leg to do it, and he ties the record with, I think, Dempsey and Elam. So going in the second half, it was slow. 3 and out. Then there was that sloppy punt return for a touchdown. I was very frustrated. I think the Broncos got away with a holding call there, but that's just me. No offense. But I don't think the Raiders could have done anything about that with the lanes they had. And then it was just kind of stalling. Not a whole lot was going on left and right. There were just penalties left and right. There were some weird bounces, some strange bounces. Kyle Orton, yeah, there were times his throws were on the money, but his receivers failed to catch the ball for him. Outside of Brandon Lloyd, there was not, and I think the one tight end feller was catching. Moreno was catching a little bit too of the short stuff, but the receivers were not making much impact at all, especially Eddie Royal, a guy that tore us up a few years back as a rookie. Eddie Royal, I remember that, burning D'Angelo Hall. But, the receivers were dropping it, and whenever the receivers were open, Kyle Orton would throw behind or miss, and the fans booing, perfect environment for the Raiders. I liked what I was seeing. Kind of perfect timing, rather, because the pressure was on, and everyone wanted Tebow to play. The fans were getting delusional, crazy, and I was not impressed with this as a home field advantage. I wasn't, and now we've won 4 straight there. This is why a lot of you fans or neutrals who thought the playing in Sports Authority Stadium was going to be make a big deal, and it didn't. The Raiders got out to a big lead in silence to the crowd early, a 2-possession lead. There was that big 14-point swing late. After the Broncos were having all this momentum, the Raiders make it anticlimactic. They were able to get the stops they needed. Also, when there was that penalty fest drive, that was huge. They were able to only force a field goal by Prater because there was, I think, Rolando McClain had a personal foul. There were just unsportsmanlike conducts, whatever penalties you name it on that drive. Only 3 points, and I'm very happy to know that we stopped them to holding them only to one touchdown on defense, the other being on special teams. So after that field goal, all of a sudden we turn over the ball. Denver gets the ball in our territory, and they're about to score, possibly with the lead when it was 16-13. But Kyle Orton, he just drops the ball just a little bit, I guess the ball was a little bit slippery, the rain was out, and Denver fans are going to be talking about that one for a while. I know it's very slippery, and he drops it. Lamar Houston falls on it, and the Raiders drive, take advantage with some big passes here and there. Heyward-Bey getting some, especially. I know McFadden had that huge run which set up the touchdown by Jason Campbell, and we're up by 2 possessions. Still not pulling away exactly. A couple stalled possessions here and there, and then all of a sudden on 3rd down, we're getting soft. And this is what frustrated me this game, besides the penalties, is we got so soft every 3rd down. Kyle Orton was able to convert. They were able to go down the field, and then Ball, I believe, scores a touchdown for Denver after a long, I think, 85-yard drive or something like that. The 3rd downs were soft, and we need to work on that. But in the end, the Raiders were able to drive it out, and this was very key. You know, the Raiders in the past, we've had those chokeland puns, all these punchlines come in. We haven't closed the game out right. But you know what? They did. Michael Bush was able to run the ball, even when Denver was expecting it. We were able to run the clock out with Michael Bush. And Heyward-Bey, this is a guy that's gotten a lot of flame. He may never put up Pro Bowl stats, but he got the big catch we needed right there, right then and there. And it converted to 1st down there. And eventually the Raiders take knees and the game's over. Now, some of the negatives I saw of this game, of course, was the penalties. I was very pissed about that. I mean, discipline. I don't know what you can do. The Raiders traded they got more talented, but still the discipline was lacking. And then, of course, the soft vanilla defense it was getting in the second half. I was annoyed how we looked like we were sitting on it. We might not have had as much tank in the gas had we not gotten the 1st downs we needed. But the Raiders, Jason Campbell, his stats are not pretty. They're very ugly. But he's a game manager. And the Skintastic Man said for the Redskins and Rex Grossman, we want a game manager and a guy who can get the job done. He wasn't great, but he wasn't horrible because he didn't throw the picks. He had that one fumble, which, of course, that was the lineman's fault. But the other summary of this game, besides the game ball going to Janikowski for the kicks and the McFadden for the yards, the defensive line was pressuring all game, most of the game. And a lot of people, I said before the game, this is where I was dead right. Our defensive line dominated their offensive line. That Zane Beal, J.D. Walton, not impressed. Not impressed whatsoever, and they proved me right. 5 sacks for a reason. And there was a lot of holding calls that were drawn by the defensive line. So great promise there. It's really good to be 1-0 and shake off that monkey, get this win on the road. And I'm very happy that we were able to do that. So we'll see y'all later. Go Raiders. And we got a very tough test against the Buffalo team that was playing mad on Sunday. I don't want to overlook them, but I'll talk about that on Wednesday. We'll see you guys later. And go Raiders.